The light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I saw when I picked up the energy behind your cards collective. This, by the way, is your reading for everybody, all signs. Now we've got the Knight of Swords, the Sun, and the Seven of Wands. So what I actually saw was like a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and we have the sun. So that makes a lot of sense. So there is a sense of hope that once we get through this period of time, this tunnel that we're in right now, and the Seven of Wands is kind of holding our ground for a little while longer. It's kind of like doing what we're doing. It's defending what we have, and then at the end of the tunnel, maybe the Knight of Swords. So maybe at the end of the tunnel there is, well, we don't know what's at the end of the tunnel, because the other thing that I picked up was a question mark. So what's at the end of the tunnel? This is just what's going through your head. Like, what's gonna happen, during this election period? Maybe that's going through your head, like pretty solidly right now. What's gonna happen in 2025? There's a question about the future here for a lot of you guys. How are things gonna pan out? Is there hope? Do we have hope? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? That's the question that might be on a lot of your minds right now. And that's what this reading is gonna be about. On the bottom, we do have the Two of Cups. So that's interesting. Some of your questions might have to do with relationships. How is my relationship gonna be in 2025, 2026? Maybe you guys are going through a rough patch right now. So this could be about a relationship, Two of Cups, and Five of Swords with Three of Swords, because there's been shit, right? So if you're in a relationship that's had rockiness and you're wondering if there's light at the end of the tunnel, I actually think there is light at the end of the tunnel, because we have the Sun card. So maybe it is just a temporary thing that you guys are going through. You guys are just going through a rough patch right now. And this could be a collective thing. Everybody might be going through a rough patch right now, and everybody's kind of wondering where the light is at the end of the tunnel. And some people, it's definitely relationship related. Let's pull oracle cards and see if we can find out more information. Tell me more about what's going on here with the collective, with everybody, all signs. What's going on with the collective? Okay. Oh, the other thing that I picked up on, I just remembered, was a shark. And the shark makes a lot of sense for the Five of Swords from the bottom of the deck, which is the sense that, well, if we're in a tunnel and we don't know if we're gonna make it out of the tunnel, there is a sense of danger, and that's the shark, right? Shark is obviously a symbol for danger. So, and a symbol for not knowing, because they come out from underneath the water. It's like, we're in the dark corridor, and the shark is under dark water, and then we have Neptune, which is the sign for water. So there is a sense of the unknown nagging at the back of our thinking. It's like, we don't know. I mean, we always don't know what the future holds, but for whatever reason right now, this week, this time period, there's extra wondering happening. And because I think there's just a lot of craziness too. And there's a lot of craziness, you have to wonder if there's gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel, right? And then the door. The door is a date. So it's like when. The door is a when. So it's when do we hit the end of the tunnel? When do we finally get to the light at the end of the tunnel? And then we have light on the bottom, guys. So much about light. Light is discovery. Light is both understanding and discovery, and also illumination. So like getting to a point where you know what's going to happen. So there's just a lot of that. You guys all want to know what's going to happen. Let's try to figure out what's going to happen. We're going to pull more cards and figure out what's going to happen for you, and see. Looking at the next couple cards, we have the City coming out. So this is definitely a bigger scale question. It's like, where's society going to be in 5 years? It's like, are we going to have a democratic process? It's like, is the world economy going to collapse? Are we going to have food shortages, right? So these are big questions. These are big questions that people want answers to, that people are wondering the answers about. That's the ear with the City. And there are no answers. The Bed, right? There are no actual answers because it's in the future. There's no way to tell. All right, let's pull some advice. Maybe we can tell anyway and cheat, because that's what the cards can give us, a little bit of a cheat here. So let's pull advice, and we'll probably get a little glimpse of this future also, and see if you guys need to wonder so much, see if you guys need to maybe have a sense of danger quite as much. Let's see what we get here for advice for the collective. What's going on with can I get some advice here for the collective? Can I get some advice? Advice for the collective. Any advice? Oh, okay. Wow. Huh. Okay, well, the advice is leave the world to its own devices. Leave the world card, to its own business. Knight of Wands reversed, like, turn away from the world. Try to, really, get your nose out of other people's business. Maybe stop reading the news for a while, because maybe that'll help stop the nagging sense of danger and worry and wondering what's gonna happen in, X number amount of time, okay? It's kind of like worry about your own shit. You can't help the world. Like, you can't make decisions for other people. Other people will make their own choices, and you can't help the choices that they make. So you can only be so invested in the world. You can only care so much, especially when people go ahead and make the wrong choices. So that's what this is saying. It's like, you got to pull back a little bit from the greater scheme, the greater world. Maybe pull inward a little bit. Instead of worrying about what's going on in the whole world, maybe worry about what's going on in your town. We've got Page of Pentacles. That's getting practical. That's getting like hands-on, right? So maybe be more active in your community and see things progress towards the light at the end of the tunnel in a more tangible way. So like if you're working in your food pantry, well, maybe you're helping get to the light at the end of the tunnel by helping, with your contribution. So it's like, instead of worry, instead of focusing on these things that you have no control over, well, this is actually doing your part in a tangible way, in a small way, that can eventually trickle out into a big way, because if each person does this in a small way, it can have a big impact. And that's the advice. It's like, you got to scale down, do things that are hands-on, local, and do things that you can do, like affect the world in small ways that you can actually affect with your hands. Page of Pentacles, and then Three of Wands. Other people will see you do that, and it will trickle out. It's like, you act a certain way. We kind of live in a holographic experience where if you do something, other people kind of get an inkling of the same idea. Have you ever noticed that everybody comes up with the same idea at the same time? Well, that's because we are like telepathically linked. So it's like, if you do your part, if you put in a little bit extra, if you help out your community, and if you volunteer, right? Other people start doing that. And it starts to trickle out and have a big impact without you. I mean, that's one way that you can actually affect the world, rather than just looking at the news and feeling hopeless, being like, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Not being able to do anything, right? Okay, I see where this is going. Now, let's see if we can actually figure out if you need to worry or not. Let's see if we can look into the future a little bit. I'm not even gonna ask for advice from these cards. I'm gonna ask what's going to happen as it pertains to this spread, because there's a lot of wondering, right? So what's going to happen as it pertains to this spread? For my viewers who are wondering what's going to happen, describe what's going to happen within the time frame that these people are wondering, right? I don't know what time frame you guys are wondering, but describe the time frame, or rather describe what's going to happen. Describe what's going to happen. Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, it's going to be a long process. There is no light switch where you flip the light switch and suddenly the world is different, and you've reached the light at the end of the tunnel. The tunnel, it's almost like when you get to the end of the tunnel, it's a gradual transition out of it. You don't even realize when you're out of the tunnel. By the time you're out of the tunnel, you've been walking through the last mile of the tunnel. It's like a gradual lightening. It's not a clear-cut end. That's what this is saying with the hourglass and the crown here. There is no clear-cut end to the tunnel. Now, looking down here, there are going to be instances where people do the wrong thing before they do the right thing. It's called trial and error, okay? We've got the number 5 in Gemini. Talk about trial and error. Now, but behind it, there's learning. So there's the Queen with Mars. It's kind of like we learn from our mistakes. So the tunnel that we're in, if you're looking at the next, let's say we're looking at the next 4 years, because that's the next presidential cycle, right? There might be a lot of things done wrong, because, well, like I said, it's trial and error, right? And yet we're learning from our mistakes. We're learning from our mistakes, and we're kind of bringing those mistakes, we're bringing those problems to the limelight. That's Mars with Honey, and saying, well, actually, no, that's the Queen who's taking charge and saying, we need to do what's right for the people, and we did these things wrong because of trial and error. So you got to get things wrong before we can tweak and make them right. And that's part of the process, guys. So you can't worry about where we're at in that tweaking process, because it's going to be like, I don't know, 10-year tweaking period. Are you going to be stressed out that whole 10 years? Or are you going to start contributing in small ways throughout that period? Because that's what you can actually do. Okay, collective, that's going to be your reading. Thank you guys for being here. If you want to support my work, support what I do, the easiest way to do that is just to subscribe, follow the channel. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that. And also, you can check out Patreon. I've got some cool stuff over there, some love readings, monthly readings. So go ahead and look at that. The link should be below if you want to support me. With that, I will see you guys next time.